Hey again, it's Rob Ryder, and Saturday, June 26, 2021. And I want to do this video on the Lord's Prayer and your hour of testing or your day in court. Guess it depends on how you look at it. For the record, I'm Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Berlusky, Army United States Army veteran, but I'm in the big Army, right? The one that includes everybody that's ever uh, had to register for the draft or selective service system registration. Right? We're all in the same thing called the Army of the United States. So, because of that, when you go into a court with a gold fringe flag, well, that could be a military court. In fact, it should be a military court because there's a gold fringe flag. But the guy sitting at the podium, well, he's not wearing an Army uniform, he's wearing a robe. He looks a lot more like a priest than he does an Army officer. Well, those priests aren't the judges that are talked about in your Constitution. None of those offices are filled. I mean, I talk about this all the time, right? That those people did not take a proper oath of office to be an officer with authority under the United States. So who the hell are they? And the simple answer is, well, they're the United States of America. They're not the United States, not the Republic, the United States of America, which is, an organization created under, or let's just say, recognized under the First Amendment, right? Your First Amendment right to free association. And so they created a society, United States of America, King George's dominion since the Treaty of Peace of 1783. I mean, it's his property, right? And that's where they put us. And so because we're in there, we're not really in the United States jurisdiction. We may be in the United States territory, but we're in their democracy. Well, if you read the Constitution, find one you can do a word search on, put in the word democracy, and you'll see it doesn't show up anywhere in the Constitution. There is no democracy in the Constitution. Right? The only form of government talked about at all in the Constitution is a Republican form of government, which requires oath-bound officers bound under the 6th Article of the Constitution to be those officers, right? And that's the Republican form of government that was guaranteed the states under the Constitution, and right now it's been vacated. And instead, we've all been thrown into this private association that's basically run by esquires, right? Because everything is, run by the judges, it seems, which is, that is Old Testament. That's what the Jews wanted. Kings or judges, that's what, they didn't want God to be there, to lead them. They either wanted a king, a temporal king, or a judge. Well, so this is right in line with Old Testament law. And, and if you look at the King James Version of the Bible as being the common law of England, which has both the Old Testament and the New Testament in, so whether you're a Jew or, Christian, you got one side or the other to pick from. And if you say, well, I'm a Gentile, I'm neither, well, you're going to go into the Jew side and be tried under old Jewish law with the Talmud and everything else. And, well, that's what they presume us all to be, that we're all in that side of the common law of England, the Old Testament. But if you were to say the Lord's Prayer in court, and, you say it as many as 3 times, because they can test your spirit. They may even tell you we're going to hold you in contempt. I had always believed that, if you did that they would have to let you go. And this was based on a story I had been told years ago about some young kid who had to go to traffic court, and he had all this, patriot mythology given to him about how to handle himself in court. But when his day of testing came and he was in court for the first time in his life, right, and whatever, they got to a point where the judge said, well, do you have anything to say for yourself, or something to that effect? The kid just bowed his head and said the Lord's Prayer. And when he got done, the judge looked at him and said, leave my court and never come back. Right? Now, that's the way the story is told to me. I don't know the kid, don't even know where it happened. But it's like, well, I could live with that. I could understand where that would happen, right? If you get into the right side of the book, you'll be okay. Because right now we're just presumed to be under Old Testament law. And that's just the way it works in the Talmud, right? That they can cheat you at business or at court if you're a Gentile. If you're not one of them, you're not one of them. Whoever them are, right? Let's call them the children of Cain. Not the children of Adam, but the children of Cain. So, anyways, what happened here recently is just the other day, I got a phone call. Some good guy starts talking and blah, 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 blah. Not that this isn't unusual. I get phone calls all the time about people asking about their court cases and stuff. And he's saying, he was calling me for some other reason, but he started by saying the reason I knew him is because I had told him to do something in court before and that it had worked. I said, really? Because I wasn't really remember who he was. Like, well, who are you exactly? And what did I tell you? And when was it? Well, now he starts to fill me in. And, that I had told him, because I think he had court the next day. So he really didn't have time to do anything, right? He's down to the wire, has to go to court. What do I do? And I told him, when you go in there, say the Lord's Prayer for the reason that I had just told you that this kid did. And I said, but you may have to say it up to 3 times, right? Because the judge has the authority to test you. And I know that to be true because I've had people go to court and say up to 3 times, right? Judge, I accept your oath, I bind you to it, and I remind you have a fiduciary duty. Or some statement like that, and making the judge acknowledge that you've accepted his oath. Because when a judge gives you his oath, it's just a gift or donation, but you have to accept it. Right? It's his offer. And so you would have to accept it. These are things that I did videos on way back in the day, and I've always believed to be true, but it's hard to get anybody to do it because they want to put a piece of paper in the way that attorneys do. Right? But and then they get to the point, at some point when you do this, the judge is going to say, if you continue, I'm going to find you in contempt of court. Because he'll be yelling at you. He don't want you to do this. I'm telling you, he did not want you to say the Lord's Prayer in court. Or any prayer. Apostles' Creed. Pick your Christian prayer that you want to pray and start praying. Right? Because that will prove that you are under the New Testament and you're under grace. You're not under penalty of law. Or the law of penalty. Which way does that go? Law of penalty. Right? You're not under the Old Testament. I'm not an Old Testament Jew, and I'm not an Old Testament Gentile. I'm a Christian. I'm in the other book. Right? You got to take me to that court. And so what happened in this situation is when the guy did this, the court tried to get him to stop, and he didn't stop. And when we got to the 3rd time, about 2/3 of the way through, probably to forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those trespass against us. Somewhere around there, the judge stopped him and, told him to get out of his court. Right? So that's the Reader's Digest version of what I'm going to show you. I mean, he's actually wrote something up and sent it to me, so I'll show it to you. And then we're going to go look at the court case, which doesn't exist anymore, which is what I wanted to know. Well, what happened to the court case? Because what the judge apparently said to the plaintiff's attorney after the guy had, had his trial and passed his hour of testing was that the attorney could refile their case. Right? He didn't call the case dismissed. And, he told the attorney, well, you can refile your case. Well, when you go look at the case number that he had, it doesn't exist anymore in their system. So it's completely taken out, like it never happened. See, if you get the reason that's important is if you get a dismissal, you're still the defendant. Case is still open. You're the defendant. It was just dismissed. It's a, position you can put your case in an ongoing case, but you're still the defendant. And if you're the defendant in a case, you're guilty. Otherwise, you wouldn't be the defendant. So whatever somebody is saying is true, right? You're the defendant because that's all a defendant can be. So you always have to claim not to be the defendant, right? But they want you to claim to be the defendant or agree to be the defendant or show you a piece of paper and say, is this your signature? And you say yes. Well, now, you own it, brother, They're verifying something that you had sort of said earlier, like on a ticket or whatever. So yeah, it's it's a game they play under this Talmudic law, which is happening because if you should know this by now, right? That the United States uh, has a public law that says that the Noahide laws are the laws of the nation. Right? All you need to do is Google Noahide laws and President Bush, and you'll find the not just a proclamation, but they actually passed a law that he signed into law, making it a public law that the Noahide laws are the basis of the laws of our nation. Well, I thought it was the Constitution, right? But I'm not under no fucking Noahide laws, right? So that may be their jurisdiction, but it isn't mine. But they try to trick us to be into that jurisdiction. Well, if you're a Christian, the only thing you can do is start praying to the Lord, right, that He pulls you out of there, because that's the den of wolves, man. They don't like Christians. I don't care what they say, right? They despise Christians. If they're a Talmudic Jew, you're despised if you're a Christian, right? They'll use you all they can to harm other Christians, but you're just as despised as the rest of us. That's the fucking system we have to deal with. So there you are. So hey, let me read to you what happened to the guy, and well, we'll see what you think. Hang on a second. Okay, so because he didn't put it to the end, this actually happened back in April of 2018, and the brother's just now calling me and telling me this, which I wish he'd told me a long time ago, but I'm glad he's telling me now. I'm not. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. But it'd been nice to know back in 2018 that this happened. But this is just common. People never call you back and tell you what they do or what happens, right? They just, whatever their issue is gets to another point where either it's been settled or whatever, and you never hear from them again, right? So, but this is what he had to say. This is his testimony, right? I showed up at court, and before court starts, the plaintiff's attorney asked to talk with me and ask what my income was, and I stated, I only have compensation for labor. Then asked what I owed, and I stated, I owe nothing, but rural everything. End of the interview. I was being called first to court, which is odd because I'm almost always last. So he wasn't there alone, right? But anyways, if you put paperwork into court that you're trying to, change the outcome of your court, they make you wait to last. Most people just go to court and take whatever it is and pay the fine and hope that that they never get in trouble again. But whenever you try to protect yourself, well, that's when they make you wait to last. Anyways, I was being called first to court, which is odd because I'm almost always last. The clerk asked me at least 3 times to enter the bar before the judge entered, and I refused. After the judge calls my case, I walk to the bar and stop, and the judge orders me to enter and sit at the table to the right. I stated that I wasn't going to enter the bar, so the judge started raising his voice and saying that they have procedures on how they run the court, and if I didn't comply, I would be charged with contempt and jailed. I had talked to Rob before going to discuss my strategy, and before we ended, Rob suggested that I state the Lord's Prayer at least 3 times before entering the bar. I learned you have to have faith and unyielding fortitude, so I started praying, and the judge went mad, and his face was all red, and he said, just leave or sit down, I don't remember. Then the attorney then told the attorney they could refile if they wanted. So far, crickets. This is April 10th, 2018. And that's his email address. Oh, you're welcome. Very good. Scott, right? Scott Rhodes is the guy's name. And, I said, hey, if you want to send me something in writing, put your name on it and your email address in case somebody has questions so they can ask you instead of me because you're the one that did it. All right, good for you, brother. Hoorah, right? I'm just saying. What he had to do is do it 3 times. Right? So, Even though the judge is coming out of his seat, unglued, red face, spittle going out, glasses coming off, enraged, right? White rage or red rage there. That'd be black rage because that'd be the. They had to accept it, and at the end of the day, he was told to leave, and right. So this was the case. It was Newton Circuit Court, cause number 56C01-1106-CC-73. And so if you're into this kind of stuff, right, write that down for yourself or remember it, and now we'll go look online and see what happened to the case. Right, and that's what I'm saying. So, okay, well, where's the case now? And they have a thing in Indiana where you can go in and put in your case number. We'll just go back and do it. Right, mycase.in.gov, right? Roads, Newton County, search. And there were 30 hits, right? And so it goes from 2021 on this page and, it goes down to 2001. So if this happened in 2018, it should be in here. There's a 56D. All right, oops, got to remember where I put the picture. Where's the picture at? Here we go. What do we got to find? 56C01-1106. 56C01. See, I put that in here to search, and I found 2 hits, and there's one of them. But it's not 1106 after the end. Right? It's against Derek, which isn't the guy's name. And 0312, which isn't the right number. Right? Russell A. Glines. Doesn't even have anything to do with the roads. So whatever the case was, whatever this case is supposed to represent, it doesn't exist anymore. They took it out of the record. It's completely been removed. Now, unless he wrote it down wrong or something, right? This is what he sent me. He's not lying to me. If anything, it's just a mistake, right? But I'm just saying, well, based on that, it didn't ever happen. And the other thing is here, you can put in the person's name. And I don't need my name in there. Hang on here. Scott, S-C-O-T-T. Scott Rhodes, right, in Newton County. No hits, right? For the entirety that this has been in there, there's no hits on Scott Rhodes. So, take it for what it's worth. And all that happened simply by saying the Lord's Prayer 3 times, right? They can test your spirit 2 or 3 times, but by the 3rd time, they had better not grieve the Holy Ghost. And the judge knows this. This is the wonderful thing. The judge knows that, right? That's his job. He's a gatekeeper, right? If you want to get on the other side of the gate, well, then, prove to him that you're a Christian. Well, how do you do that? By saying the Lord's Prayer. And it doesn't matter how much he's going to persecute you, brother. If you're a Christian until they put you on the cross. Right? They can't have, this isn't fair weather time. This is the time of testing. Right now. You and the judge. Now, I don't want to have to wait to do this in court. I'm trying to look for something other than a dismissal to be the way to end the shit that's happening, right? I just soon have them arrested before I had to go to court for simulating a legal process. And, if you've never watched my videos before, you need to know that when you go to court, they're not using your full legal name. They don't use their full legal name. They don't use the proper name of the court. The paperwork they put in has all sorts of errors and omissions in it. There's nothing legal about it. It just has paper with a title on it and say, well, this is what it is. Well, it's not that unless it's done right. But they want you to agree to all this, right? They're going to take you to this private tribunal because these people don't have the oath to be a state officer. The best they can be is a Judge Judy. And you have agreed to their jurisdiction. Just ask them. They'll tell you, oh, you agreed to be here. Right? Well, that's all the presumptions you have to overcome. And the way to do it is, I'm not playing your game in Talmudic law. I just go ahead and say the Lord's Prayer and, and then ask for relief. Now, this is the thing. So the judge told the guy to leave, right? Told Scott to leave, which he did. I mean, good for him. But thinking about it a little bit deeper, you could stick around and say, well, Judge, I'm not leaving until I get some relief, right? This is a malicious prosecution. I've been damaged. Right? I want damages under this man's liability insurance. And I believe you have the authority to get it for me. So I want to be paid for the occurrence of the damage. Right? And the occurrence is a $1,000, per occurrence damage for malicious prosecution. It's written that way into their liability insurance for malicious prosecution. And if you're being told to leave by the judge, then that was a malicious prosecution. That's what I'm saying. So ask the judge for some relief because you have him where you want to. He's recognized you, on the proper side of the books. That's my theory on all this. And the only way to prove it is whoever needs to go to court needs to try it. Then tell me if it worked. Right here, I put my phone number right here. I'd do that for that. That'd be 616-712-6179. All right? You go do it and find out what happens. If you have nothing better to do, then do that. But you don't have to do it the way Scott did. I don't believe you have to wait outside the bar. I believe you can claim to be a Christian at just the moment you decide it's time for your hour of testing and get it on. The longer you wait, the harder it may be to make it stick. But, so if you're sitting at the table, you can still do it. If you've already had 3 hearings, you're going back again, you can still do it. Right? If they're claiming that you're the defendant, you can still do it because everything they're doing isn't really being done by the laws of your state anyways. They're doing it. It's all just judge-made law. Whatever the judge decides is what's going to happen. Right? And so, you want to get justice from the judge, you got to keep going after him. Okay, I'm done preaching on that, but it did work, right? So if you need it, there it is. Have a good day. See you now.